Welcome to the internet. Have a look around. Anything that brain of yours can think of can be found. We've got mountains of content, some better, some worse. If none of it's of interest to you, you'd be the first. Welcome to the internet. Come and take a seat. Would you like to search some news or any famous women's feet? Don't worry, don't panic. This isn't a test. Just nod or shake your head and we'll do the rest. All right. Anyway. Isn't a test. Okay, that's all good. All good. Just receiving stuff. Receiving good stuff. All right, just checking up on stuff. Sorry, just checking up something. Be right back with you guys. Okay. Right. Okay, so comments. Who's up? Ahoy, firecracker! Hello there. Welcome to the live stream. Glad to see you here. Because you're just in time for, let's see. Okay. This limited drink that I got from some burger place today, and it's on limited offer for some reason, and I'm going to try it out. And it's limited, and I have no idea what it tastes like. I'll just like give it a try. All right, here we go. All right. Combination of fruit and vegetable. Carrot, blackcurrant. Yeah, not bad. Not bad. I like it. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the dinner. I have myself a nice dinner. I did say come dine with me, and I've got this nice couscous, salmon, beef, and carrot dish here. Bon appetit. All right. I mean, it's probably gone a bit cold by now, but hey, it's cooked. It's cooked. As all good food should be. God. Bit of chili to give it a good kick. I also want to get the sinuses flowing. Especially if you've got a cold at this time of the year. Carrots for vitamin A. See in the dark. Stab the carrots in the eyes. Lie to me. Mediterranean food would probably give it a wee variety with the couscous that I've got there. I'll be able to think more coherently thanks to the fish. Not to mention, let's see, what's my favorite food? What is my favorite food? You know what I really love? A dinner that's like a roast meat, like whether it be lamb or beef, or perhaps even venison. And then have that with roast vegetables and roast garlic in a nice, rich gravy, maybe like a red wine kind of gravy. Get some red wine in there, gets a drink there too. Oh, especially roasted garlic. Oh, that is seventh heaven in flavor, my man. That's the ideal food. That's the ideal food. It's just tastiness cranked up to 11. That's what that kind of food is. Also got the soup right here. Got this nice sauce that's been available in the shop. That mixed together with carrots and the onions to feel the good things. And gyros. And that, I'll admit, I'll need to get myself more familiar with gyros. I have been having venison burgers. There's a place in Inverness where you can get venison burgers. You can have it with any sauce of your choice. I usually have it with a chili sauce of some kind and onions, because I like to have red meats. Red meat is the rich stuff, especially for someone who's trying to pack in all the protein. And Greek food pronounced euro. Euro, yes. John Tron made a joke about that when he was doing a review, and then he was in the mood to get a gyro. I want to get a gyro, even though it's pronounced euro, but I said because it sounds better. I'm 50%. Really? You're 50% Greek? All right. Huh, I didn't know that. What are you, Prometheus? What fires of knowledge are you promoting, firecracker? And 25%, 25%. Oh, nice. Yeah, that makes sense in hindsight. Italians are very passionate people. Love Italian culture. Opera, the operatic singing, Andrea Bocelli, Italian food. I'm a Mediterranean boy. Hey, nice. Well, it's a good thing I'm eating the couscous then, eh? All right, got my red wine here. Here's to the Mediterranean. I remember going on a running practice, and then a running partner and a friend of mine went to this Mediterranean restaurant. Had some nice lamb, had a nice yogurt there. Excellent stuff. It was a nice sunny day too. I was practicing for the half marathon at that time, if I'm not mistaken. It was a good practice. Hopefully I'll be able to do the full marathon again this year. Hopefully. Suppose I should say, I've got Scottish ancestry. Mainly the Hebrideans on my father's side. Middle belt of Scotland from my mum's side. But on my mum's side, there's also ancestry from Ireland, and her dad is from England. And what else is there? I think there's probably a bit of Swedish or something like that in there, probably, given the ancestry of the Scots. I need to look into it, but that's the best of my knowledge. And fun fact, when a husband and wife get together, the more diverse their genes are, like, say, for example, she's from India and he's from Greece or something like that, the offspring they'll have will have very diverse genes, which makes them healthier and more capable of stuff like fending off illnesses, getting stronger genetically speaking, so on and so forth. Because it's the exact opposite of incest. Cool fact, eh? Goes into that whole thing about be fruitful and multiply. Pretty cool. Speaking of nutrition, there is more chance of diverse diseases. Yeah. Which in turn would increase the chances of developing the immune system necessary to fend off those diseases. There could be various factors that go into it, which is why I would highly endorse a lot of nutrition into your life. In fact, the lads at the Evan Prince server are encouraging this testosterone high diet to get stronger. So lately, I've been increasing certain stuff into my diet, like magnesium and zinc. I've been trying out some other supplements with various effects. Don't worry, they're healthy supplements. I'm not like Bruce Lee or something like that, where I take these unhealthy drugs. No. These are, those kind of nutrition tablets that you get from the shop, or various shops, and they do stuff well. I mean, I mean, my body's craving for magnesium these days. Like in previous days, I would literally crave for like entire jars of peanut butter. I would just devour entire chunks of it. So magnesium and zinc apparently really boost the testosterone. There was something else that they kept mentioning that really does you a favor, but magnesium and zinc certainly helps. That and vitamin D supplements. Vitamin D supplement, obviously that's good for your skin, but it's also good for testosterone and stuff like that. Just whenever I can these days, whenever I'm eating protein, I usually have lots of nuts for snacks. At the Grape Tree shop, they sell like these dark chocolate nuts, and dark chocolate is very good for your blood. I like those as snacks. It's a good alternative to crisps. When for dinners, or even on burgers for lunch, I try to go for red meat, so venison burgers, or whenever I have dinners, I try to aim for beef, salmon, any kind of fish I can get my mouth into. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to have that all the time, and I will have chicken and stuff like that. It's just that I try to prioritize that, if you get what I mean. I drink tea quite a lot. I'm the kind of person who puts like several tea bags into a cup, just reuse them again and again, saves me money. And I put ginger, like grounded ginger, grounded turmeric, and a bit of cinnamon in there because that's very good for your gut and your immune system. And I have various kinds of teas that are good for you, like green tea bags or like peppermint tea bags or chai. Do not confuse chai with tea because chai literally means tea in Indian. they made that a joke in the Beyond the Spider-Verse movie. And that's a good fiber too. And if you find your stomach's getting bloated, a good thing to have would be peppermint. You can get these peppermint capsules. It's just get a quick drink and bam, your entire body's just fully nutritionalized. Yes. Right, once I'm done with the vast portions of the stuff, or maybe I should just get on with the actual news at hand. Oh yeah, I got a bit of hummus in there too. Oh, you grew up on dark chocolate. Nice. Since I can't do Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, mate. I'm sorry to hear about that. Yeah, when you're lactose intolerant, when you can't have milk, you probably need other supplements for chocolate, but also other forms of vitamin D, because milk is a strong form of vitamin D, but there's other ways to get vitamin D, like mangoes, and probably oranges, I think. That's more vitamin C, though. I got galactisim. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Galactisemia, which is a mutation of genes like essentially mutant, like an X-Men. Well, there you go. There you have it, everybody. Firecracker 44 is officially an X-Man. You've endured this much, buddy. Yeah. I remember in the past I used to drink cider because I've got a sweet sense of taste. Nowadays I usually have red wine as a choice of alcohol because that's good for your blood and your gut. It even says that in the Bible. Paul says, have some red wine to get your gut to calm down. Used to be known as an Irish person disease, but I think it's a Greek thing too. That's interesting. I suppose several countries will unfortunately have their respective disease. Like, for example, I've been increasing my vitamin D because, very unfortunately, I know somebody who's been suffering from multiple sclerosis, which is a deficiency to your body where the nerves and the digestive system get all confused and it malfunctions the whole body. And it's mainly due to a lack of sunlight. So I've been increasing my vitamin D, and I even went on a whole 10K run earlier for my friend. Because, of course, when you're Scottish, like, or any of the northern hemisphere places, the risk of multiple sclerosis is increased, especially if you spend too much time indoors, which is why I like to go outside, go on runs. And I always make a rule of thumb. Always go outside at least once a day. It could be for any reason. Go out and walk. Well, I usually try to have some kind of aim as I do it, like get rid of the glass bottles, get rid of the soft plastic, go shopping, or attend this group I need to go to, meet this friend, and get to this place, and so on and so forth. Whatever the reason may be, just get out there. Or even to go on a run. That's a run. You'll even get sunlight if it's a cloudy day. Sunlight's pretty peculiar that way. At the same time, I know someone from work who said, don't get too much sunlight on you because then your blood veins are going to burst. Balance. I mean, it's not the worst thing to happen, but you know, just like little cracklies or red things on the cheek. Also, I might as well confess this right now whilst I'm on the topic of nutrition. I've noticed that being in my early 20s now, that my hair is starting to thin. So you might notice some subtle elements of hair thinning whenever I like put my head down and stuff like that. So to make up for that, I've been increasing my biotin and zinc and stuff like that. So that actually helps with the hair stuff. You can also get stuff like scalp massages and other kinds of stuff to treat your hair. It's just that balding in your 20s is not a good look. So there you go. Me too. I noticed that too. I'm 36. All right. There you go. There you go. I mean, it's something that all men have to go through. I mean, that's inevitable. I mean, I'd be fine if I was just completely bald. It's just that it's just balding in my 20s. That's just not a good look. He's old. I know. He's passing on his wisdom to the youth. Man, he's 10 years older than me the whole time. There you go. Man, oh man. Let me just share this with let's see if we can get other people on here. Dang it. Let's see. I'll get back to you. Just it's just a little tricky to focus on multiple things at once. And see if people are bothered to join in. All right, I guess we'll find out if people are bothered to join in or not. Respect your elder, Sonny. Respect your elder, Sonny. Where's my dentures? All right, Grandpa. I'll get you your stuff like that. I'll get you cold water. Here, drink this icy cold water. I'll turn on the fan. I still feel cold. PS5. Somehow that character in that joke has never stopped being funny. Somehow. It's one of those jokes where it's not what he's saying, it's how he's saying it that's so funny. PS5. I feel like you and I would get along in person. Absolutely. Absolutely. Speaking of getting along, let's move on to the first major topic of the evening. The fact that Monster Hunter Wilds, the game that I was playing recently on the channel, is a big success and selling like hotcakes, as they say. So, I mean, with how successful Capcom's major franchise is, it's not really a big surprise in any way. What's the stage? Wait, okay, so how do I do this? Ah, here we go. Oh dear, I got the hiccups. Okay, so. Okay, so. I'm still trying to figure this out. What's the best kind of format for this? Yeah, I guess this will do. So, according to this article by Gaming Bolt, Monster Hunter Wilds is a smash hit, and here's why. Over 8 million copies sold, record player counts on PC. Capcom's latest entry of the series is a bona fide success. I mean, the series was already a staple hit amongst gamers. It's one of Capcom's major franchises alongside Mega Man and Street Fighter, the Phoenix Ace Attorney series. Although people tell me that, well, people say rather that Monster Hunter World was significantly better. And that Wilds is more appealing to new players. I mean, I can't really blame him. I mean, it was my first time playing. And there have been some complaints that the actual story, the story mode is a bit too brief for people's taste. But even despite that, apparently, from what I understand, the graphical fidelity and the expansive possibilities of Wilds is some of the most engaging stuff yet. So yes, it's no wonder that Monster Hunter Wilds is doing so well. Something about the East, they just get it. They just get what their audience is about. So I'm still just eating. It would be rude of me to talk and eat at the same time, although I've done that previously. Ah, fantastic. I'm going to read this article a wee bit. Figure is all the more incredible given that the bestseller Monster Hunter World hit 5 million in digital sales and shipments within the same period. World took almost 7 years to sell 20 million copies. And that's already talk of Monster Hunter World hitting that total in its first year. That's astonishing. While plenty are upset about the PC version's performance, that's another issue, how multiplayer currently functions in the console version's image quality. The overwhelming sentiment is that Monster Hunter World is a win. So despite these issues, people are still having fun. I think that says a lot about its quality. Take the essentials and gameplay mechanics from World, while tossing in a new, fully fleshed out monsters with new mechanics that will attract long-time fans. After all these years spent beating up great Jagras, I can now smack Chatacabra and his ugly face around. Sign me up. Some elements have been streamlined, but they're appealing to veterans and newcomers. Very good. The former appreciates the ability to save investigations, cook anywhere on the go, kind of like Breath of the Wild, and switch weapons on the fly, while the latter is impressed by the massive scale and attention to detail. If this is your first Monster Hunter game, which it is for me, there's a sense of awe in watching two monsters engage in a turf war for the first side and watching your target wipe the floor with the opposition, leaving you in despair. Man, I mean, there was this one monster mission where I was hunting down one monster, but then we came across another monster which appeared in a previous cutscene, which made me go, uh-oh. I wonder what happens if you get carried away slaying some other monsters and then get to the final monster. Your level up would be like getting immense, right? Just we can fight damage one time, just telling you to make it just that. Valhalla is a Leviathan on land with unpredictable. Okay, so that's coming next. I'm probably spoiling myself here. Perfect guard. Not that's a good thing I got with the proper equipment out with the sword and shield now. All right. So it's selling all that and more, and it's very appealing. Not to mention the character creation modification. The character creation is immense. I mean, it doesn't exactly let you can adjust the height of certain characters, which it feels a bit slightly odd, especially for this fantasy setting. But you know what? The characters that you play as are so jacked and athletic that, I suppose there's only so much they can fit. I mean, I guess it's the reason why. I mean, the fact that the game allows your player character to talk and have these vivid interactions in the cutscenes is in itself quite an accomplishment. I suppose Mass Effect did the same kind of thing. It's definitely a high budget kind of game. I mean, I haven't even gotten properly started. I'm just getting to grips with the game. But you do the character creation to like, I already came across some Kratos lookalike as well as a Griffith lookalike. There's going to be a Guts lookalike in there somewhere. I can tell. There's probably going to be people out there going to put in some Lord of the Rings kind of characters in there too. Be like Talion from like Shadow of Mordor, maybe Aragorn. Maybe even Gandalf. So many possibilities. You can even play as elder men, even elder women. And the game is absolutely succeeding, and Western developers are just jealous of Japan. The Western developers are very much jealous of the Japanese. The Japanese just know how to make good games. I mean, the West does make good games. It's just that there seems to be a lot of underlying hubris about how they go about that thing, which leads to an immense downfall of their quality, especially when they don't allow any critiques. Right, let me finish this good soup first. This next story is going to get a wee bit rough, but it has to be said. I'm just checking if this is the right article. Yeah, this has to be said. All right, who's joining us? All right. Lobhope plays Infinity Nikki. It's, I think, a free Japanese game like Genshin Impact. All right, Infinity Nikki. All right. Glad to know. I mean, there is a real appeal in those Japanese-oriented games, especially with the success of Monster Hunter Wilds. I'm looking forward to playing more of that. The Western developers seem to be jealous, but I mean, there are still good Western developers out there, but very unfortunately, there's this one particular company that's in a lot of trouble lately. Now, I've covered this one company beforehand, but this time, like, there is no shadow of a doubt that what they're doing is just in the wrong way. Okay. There was this one company I've covered in the past, and they absolutely goofed up on their representation of Japan, especially with the whole Tory Gate controversy. Yes, I am, of course, talking about Ubisoft. Like, I should correct myself. Ubisoft already failed in their promotion of Assassin's Creed Shadows. If the whole controversy surrounding the legitimacy of Yasuke being a samurai wasn't enough, there was this whole controversy regarding the Tory Gate that I covered in a previous live stream. That was when they officially crossed the line of just going, well, not even crossing the line, just going like millions of miles beyond the line. And this controversy is making them go another million miles more. Like the fact that they were so disrespectful towards the Tory Gate, which is a symbol of the nuclear bombing that happened in their own country. Like, shame on Ubisoft for that. Shame on them. I mean, the Japanese people are going to be so insulted by that. And now you have this. Former Ubisoft bosses on trial in France over alleged harassment. This story has been making the rounds lately, and stories like this really show the double standards of these people who claim to be all about supporting women's rights or claiming to care about diversity. But if you actually look into stories like this, they are absolutely misogynist. They are deeply disrespectful to other cultures, but they're only respectful when it suits them. Like, the reason why they pander so much, specifically people like them, the reason why they pander so much to say, look at me, look at how virtuous I am, it's to make up for the fact that they are morally degenerate jerks who have no sense of objective moral grounds. I mean, here they are, they're sexually harassing women in such disgustingly elaborate manners. And they're disrespecting the Japanese. They're disrespecting, to my knowledge, Arabian people as well. And it's all about them. And it's like, how are they even allowed to be in power? Like, how? He's got the popcorn out. I was talking about hypocrisy or wokeism. Yeah, absolutely. It needs to be called out because there has been just such a significant shift in the culture. Because I mean, previously people wouldn't have been able to catch on to this, but now that the culture has shifted, people are more alert to stories like this, where the double standards are being released. It's the sort of, what was the name of the phrase? It was called "rules for me, but not for thee." It's very much at play here. Let's see if I can read something more specific here. Let's see. Between January 2012 and 2020, Francois is alleged to have habitually watched, oh, good grief, pornographic films in the open plan office and commented on the appearance of female employees. I heard that he was playing this on loudspeaker too. Yeah, porn. And they're supposed to be professionals. They keep saying, "Oh, we shouldn't lust after women. Oh, we should empower women." But behind the scenes, they're harassing women and they're watching porn, which by definition involves lusting after people, degrading people into physical objects for your mere pleasure. Like that is such stupidity. Yeah. Guilt trip people into agreeing to stupid things. Exactly. Here in America, it comes out of guilt and need to stand up and fight for something that isn't there. Yeah. That's a pattern you'll notice in historical context. Like if you study history closely enough, there'll be some periods, especially with, if I'm not mistaken, like correct me if I'm wrong, with the rise of Hitler in like World War II, the sort of mentality which goes along the lines of, we'll give you something to fight for, even if there's nothing to fight for at all. That kind of mentality makes way for fascism. And the other part is, you can't prove they fix those issues, so they find corruption because they take the money, and it's an infinite loop. Things are still racist. Vote us more. Yeah, that's the thing about the woke. Like, it's never enough. Like, even when people do pander to these people who want to complain, the answer is always the same. More representation, more this, more that. Make it more about specifically me. More me. But if you don't appeal to me, I'm going to call you a racist. Even though by this point, you couldn't be any more pandering to all these different people. It just leads to so many stupid double standards and stuff like that. And people are beginning to catch on to this and think, this is baloney. This is the very kind of thing that so many people like myself have grown disillusioned of over the years. Let's see here. He's also accused of planting surprise kisses on the lips of employees and assaulting some by calling them ugly or slut. Francois was also accused of forcing a young employee he had just hired to do a headstand in the open plan office while wearing a skirt. He is also accused of tying the same woman to a chair, putting her in an elevator, sending her to another floor, and of forcing her to attend a work meeting after he painted her face with a felt tip pen. Oh. That is unacceptable. Like, this is the kind of thing you would expect, like, some immature, like, 15-year-old to come up with if he was somehow in charge of an office building. Like, this is stupid. This is repugnant. This is awful. This is absolutely awful. In addition to the accusations of sexual and psychological harassment, Francois is being prosecuted as an attempted sexual assault that he tried to forcibly kiss a young employee during a Christmas party as she was held by other Good grief. Like, I'm sorry if this is very sensitive to some of my viewers, but it has to be called out. I have to call this out. Like, this is absolute baloney. It has spiraled out of control, and that's why Musk found water and fraud and abuse of funds. We send money to third world countries for niche things, and they're ridiculous as a result. I've been hearing about that. Yeah. That's pretty weird and unusual. So yeah, stuff like that needs to be called out. And when you see stuff like that, it's no wonder they're jealous of stuff like Monster Hunter World succeeding. Like, you'll see certain Western developers who've gone out of the limelight. They'll say, they'll complain about this and that about the Japanese games, but then they don't really give much of an alternative. Like, sure, they're like strike lightning in a bottle with some successful game, but then after that, they're going to fade into obscurity because they got so narcissistic and didn't bother making anything else thereafter. Whereas the Japanese just know how to make good games. I mean, sure, like people can complain about the occasional hand holding with stuff like Skyward Sword, sure. But on the whole, like when the Japanese, like 90% of the time, they make solidly good games, stuff that's enjoyable for families and stuff like that. And they'll offer extra challenges, like with the From Software games, like, and they've got a wide variety. They just get it. They just get it. They get it. They get it. It's a good game. Froglegs played it, but it feels slow. Yeah, I mean, some games are fast, some games are slow. I mean, with Monster Hunter Wilds, I think I've been taking hours to play it so far, and it's taken a while to just get used to how the game goes, the sort of rhythm of fighting the monster and then heading back to camp to upgrade, and the possibility of joining other guilds. I'm still getting used to that. But yeah, on the whole, like, it's a pretty solid experience. All right. Sorry, friends just sent me something. What else is there to talk about? Let's see. Moving on to another topic in regards to the entertainment industry. Well, I suppose, you know what? Since a friend of mine has been sharing with me something Dune related, even if it's not like the, you know what, screw it, might as well talk about it anyway. My friends encouraged me to keep on reading like the Dune series, and we have been listening to the audiobook. But basically, long story short, from what I experienced with the book, like, the book is much better than the movies. And it's because the book can take more time with certain details like the certain character motivations, certain pieces of world building to emphasize just how harsh the planet Arrakis is. More of the emotion from some characters, like I've said in the past that like the story of Dune is not too emotional a story because most of the characters are in it for power than for genuine connection. And the same is still true in the book. It's just that there's a bit more emotion in the book because we get more insight into what they're thinking and get more heart-to-heart conversations. I'll get to that comment soon enough. There's details about characters plotting. There's details about how harsh the planet is and certain implications. And there's some interesting differences, like in the Dune films, the recent Dune films. There was a short passage of time between when Paul and Jessica fled the attack from the Harkonnens and when they returned to the Harkonnens to fight back. In the films, it was a short period of time, but in the book, Jessica gave birth to her Paul's sister by the time they got back. So it's an interesting little difference, and it's one of those things where you can see that the film is definitely an adaptation. I suppose there's an interesting discussion as to how faithful an adaptation should be. I suppose when it comes to adaptations, there is that ability to be somewhat loose, as long as you remain loyal to the heart of what the story is trying to convey. That was certainly the case with the Lord of the Rings stories. So the last Harry Potter book was better than the last film too. I would imagine, because I would imagine because there's more emphasis on world building, more character insights and stuff like that. It's not to negate the films in any way. It's just the Dune films are fantastic films. It's just that the book offers so much more insight. I suppose funnily enough, the Dune movies are more faithful to the book than the Lord of the Rings film adaptation by Peter Jackson is to the Tolkien source material. Although I still consider like the Lord of the Rings films some of my favorite films of all time, because as much as I love reading Tolkien's books also have their setbacks. Like, for example, the whole Tom Bombadil segment in Fellowship of the Ring has little relevance to the entire story, and you can sense that in the first quarter of Fellowship of the Ring, Tolkien was kind of just muddling about with the story, just getting to grips with what kind of direction the story was going in. Like, the book literally says that after Gandalf leaves to investigate the ring lore, like, Frodo like sits back in his chair to smoke or stuff like that for 30 years, and then the story initiates. Whereas in the film, that can be implied, but it's never stated. Details were better too, but they thought the film would be disturbing, like the wave all the way. Right. Yeah, I can imagine. Wait, not EA. Do you know the EA, my brother? Do you know the EA, my brother? No, I don't know the EA. Then I speak to you. I am 40 seconds away from blowing you up. Like, I would rather fight the Pride Trooper than this cancer. I'm referring to Perfect Cell versus Uganda Knuckles. Do you know the way? Anyway, back to what I was saying about the Tolkien adaptations. I suppose we've gone from Dune to Lord of the Rings, and it makes sense because you're inevitably going to compare Dune with like the Lord of the Rings series. I mean, that's inevitable. They chain his body to the basement chambers in the book, I believe. Right. Basement. Chain his body to the basement chamber in the book. Oh, okay. Interesting. Right. So, from the lake window. So where was it? Oh yeah. So with Tolkien's books, like you can sense in the first quarter of Fellowship of the Ring that Tolkien was fuddling about with the plot, whereas with Peter Jackson's pacing in Fellowship of the Ring, he gets much more straight to the point where it's pretty fast paced. But at the same time, there's still enough time to settle in the home of the Shire to give you a sense of what the characters are fighting for. And those scenes of the characters like being in the pub, having fun, stuff like that, people might think those don't really progress the plot. Not in the way you think, but they are still necessary, if you ask me, because they give the characters something to fight for, and every detail of culture helps give further context to and for the character building, stuff like that. The world building is worth it in that way. So do you prefer the book Lord of the Rings over the movie? It's hard to say, because there's some bits that the books are superior to in regards to the movies. At the same time, there's some bits where the movies actually improve on the books. It's one of those interesting cases where I honestly think the film adaptations by Peter Jackson are on par with the books in a strange way, because it's on the one hand, like, Peter Jackson's movies are very faithful to the source material, but at the same time, there are a few differences which they either make improvements or they deviate. Like Tom Bombadil sequence. It's irrelevant to the whole plot. If they added it in, it would kill the pacing. Yeah, they needed to cut that out. It would kill the tension of being chased by the Black Riders. That was brilliant pacing. Although, for some reason, they made Frodo kind of a weak wimp. For some reason, whereas in the books, he was able to stand his ground a bit more and be more of a bold hero in the face of this overwhelming danger. So it's kind of odd to see the way they portrayed Frodo. Pretty odd. Although another strength of the films is that they give more of a distinct character for Merry and Pippin. The book does have more details that are not elaborated on in the film. Like, for example, Denethor has a palantir, and given the dark, ominous nature of the Palantir, it makes sense as to why Denethor has gone all cuckoo. What else? From what I remember of the books. Oh yes, the film gives Aragorn a character arc. So he has a genuine sense of growth, whereas in the book he's kind of sort of this mythical archetype. People can pick and choose what they like, but I guess giving Aragorn an arc raises the stakes for the sake of the film adaptation. So it makes sense for that telling of the story. By Return of the King, it's interesting that in the books, like the hobbits destroying the ring isn't their ultimate victory. They find that Saruman and Rima Wormtongue have sabotaged their own home in the Shire. And there's this whole chapter in the Road to Return of the King called The Scouring of the Shire, where like the hobbits have to fend up for their homeland. And this was meant to reflect like Tolkien's what Tolkien experienced after coming home from the war. Even though Tolkien did not mean for Lord of the Rings to be allegorical, he did put in a lot of his own experiences of World War II into the narratives to add to the intensity of the stakes, as it were. So on the one hand, the book gives more relevancy in regards to the sort of World War II kind of context. But in the film, that whole Scouring of the Shire bit is taken out. Now, some might be disappointed by that, but honestly, the Return of the King finale is so big and so heart-pounding and so epic as it is already that just adding in the Scouring of the Shire sequence would just make the film exhausting, especially with how many endings there are and with how long the film is. The extended version of Return of the King is 4 hours and like 11 minutes, and it's worth it. So it's interesting having two different endings, one that has the Scouring of the Shire, as well as having a specific scene from Fellowship of the Ring, the film version, be the actual ending of Return of the King for the books. But in the films, they cut out the Scouring of the Shire to give a more straightforward, victorious ending, which certainly gives them immense satisfaction. So it's pretty interesting. So yeah, pretty interesting. So I suppose with the book and the film adaptation, I'd say it's even Stevens. But with the Dune series taking this back full circle, I guess, the books are much more detailed because the books actually give more. They give the Harkonnens more time to shine as plotting, scheming, strategic villains, and they give more characterization to Jessica and Chani, and all kinds of stuff like that, to the point where they even have a scene between them by the end. It's very interesting stuff. Right. Let's see what other stuff there is to talk about. You know what? Yeah, let's have a wee laugh. Why don't we? All right. Let's see. Is there any example where a movie is better than a book? There is, actually. The most famous example I can think of would be the Godfather series. Mario, whatever his surname is, the author's name is Mario. He wrote the Godfather series, but he collaborated with Francis Ford Coppola in the making of the Godfather movies. And even the author himself says that the films have actually improved on the book, because not only is it a faithful adaptation, but it's also superior to the actual book. So there's an example. The Godfather films are better than the books. I mean, that's the best example I can think of. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, the Lord of the Rings adaptations are on par with the books, but I wouldn't necessarily say superior, if you get what I mean. But with the Godfather films, that it is a definite improvement. I can't think of any other examples where the film version was better than the book, but I guess I'll get back to you on that. But I know that there'll be something that will be significantly worse. So you know what? Let's have a laugh, why don't we? Here we go. Here we go. Just wanted to bring this up because this adaptation, it's not doing too good. And it's not even out yet. This film has been met with controversy after controversy after controversy. I mean, people were already getting sick and tired of the constant live-action remakes that were not as good as the original. Like, people were already getting fed up with that. Like, some of them were decent, like the Aladdin one. There was very few that were actually enjoyable, like the Jungle Book one, although some others, even then, others would say otherwise. The most enjoyable one was the Cinderella one. But other than that, they've been rather lackluster. I'm not sharing the screen. Sorry, I forgot about that. Wait, no, enter the stage. Here we go. Right. Sorry, still getting used to this structure. But it was in the there came a certain time when there came a certain era of remakes when they started hammering down on woke ideology of like women are far more superior than men will ever be, even when women are being morally questionable at times, or completely nonsensical plot elements that are only there just for the sake of pandering to girl boss tropes, as well as pandering to certain people. Like, for example, the recent Little Mermaid remake had this entire sequence where Ariel was the one to steer the ship onto Ursula, but that makes no sense for the following reasons. Like, firstly, it robs Eric of his time to showcase his love to Ariel by being a hero, and then proving to Triton, who saw the whole thing, that humans are worthy of living in peace with the mermaids. Like, if a mermaid's just going to do it, why are humans worthy to live with the mermaids? Secondly, like, Ariel's a mermaid who's unfamiliar with how ship tech works. Like, how would she know how to steer a ship efficiently? Like, that whole sequence was added there for no other reason than to have a girl boss moment. Like, it's so stupid. What the mermaids? Man Cat Lawn. Someone else is on here. Nice. Fantastic. We don't need no man. We had that kind of attitude like all throughout these live, even the recent live action remakes specifically. And now it's all culminated into this. Like, you'll notice that there's these socialist undertones to a lot of woke media. So with socialism, there's a lot of emphasis on like revolution, because they'll paint it as, oh, the upper classes are being oppressive, we need to take them down. But if you actually analyze socialism consistently, it's more a case of, we're going to drag you down to our petty sense of narcissism. So and now, since people have caught on to the patterns of woke media, they're beginning to catch on to like Snow White, and it's already failed out of the gate. Like, for example, the very title, Snow White, the name of the character, she's named after the color of her skin. And who do they cast? Rachel Zegler, a Colombian actress, if I'm not mistaken, who has a tan skin color. Like, this is like casting someone like Brad Pitt as T'Challa in Black Panther. People would get raging over that, yet you're not raging over this? Like, it's a double standard. And to add to this, like, from what I've heard, they said like, oh, well, the title of Snow White is going to be about a trait of her character rather than her skin color. Okay, fine. Then showcase a good character. from promotional material we've seen so far, there was a scene where Snow White says, "You will do the cleaning up. You use the broom." Whereas in the original, she said, "You do this, and I will use the broom." So in the original, like here's the thing: the woke will complain about, women should not do these traditionally feminist tasks. No, sorry, feminist tech. Wait, no, sorry. I need to rephrase that. Sorry. They'll complain and say stuff like, "Oh, women should not be doing these roles that were traditionally assigned to feminine people." But look, here's the thing: whether you're male or female, cleaning up a house and cleaning dishes is a nice, kind thing to do. So, in the promotional material we're seeing so far, Snow White is neglecting the duty to actually tidy up in favor of dancing around looking pretty and saying, "Oh, look how great I am." It's so stupid. It's so backwards. So she appears more of a narcissist. So you can't exactly call her Snow White in her purity of character, can you? So I wanted to bring this website article up because like they even get the synopsis wrong. Okay, let me read it to you. Let's see if I can read it with a straight face. A princess joins forces with 7 dwarves to liberate her kingdom. Oh God! Oh God! God! I can't! Okay, let's try again. Oh man. Oh man. Okay. Let's read some of the comments here. Mad Catlon says, yes, let's remove any character flaws and make any female a Mary Sue because feminism. Yeah, exactly. That's another problem with these girl boss type characters. It's the fact that the people are so fixated on these empowerment fantasies that they actually forget to give these characters actual personal obstacles to overcome. And as a result, they come across as boring because they're doing it with ease. And if they can do it with ease, then what's the point in telling a story? Like, what's the point? And Firecracker44 says, like Rey Palpatine, I liked her, but I didn't like how she was written. Yeah, and I think I'm sexist because I didn't like this film. What? Star Wars has a history of women heroes. Yeah. Like, there was this one cast member from The Acolyte who publicly said at some convention of some kind, like, she said out loud, like, Star Wars is very, like, patriarchal, even though there are several overt matriarchal figures throughout Star Wars canon. These people do not do the research. They are morons. They are absolute morons of double standards. Power of many. Right. And they ruined the original female heroine's character. Yeah, they keep ruining the context of the actual virtue of the original characters. Don't forget that Ziegler supposedly wanted Godot fired because he didn't like that the crew thought she was a better What? Wait. What? What? Is that real? Is that an actual story? Is that real? No, she can't be that much of a narcissist. Oh God. Oh man. Is that real? Is that real? If they do add a struggle, it's just, I will stop holding back. Yeah, that's another. Oh, good grief. Yeah, you didn't hear about that? I heard many things about the conflict between Ziegler and Godot, especially given these political matters where Godot chose one side due to like home affiliation reasons, and Ziegler just wouldn't shut her mouth, which led to even more controversy, which really affected the perception and, in the long term, the box office success of the movie in the long term. because these people just won't shut up about virtue signaling. Like, give us actual virtue. Live by example. Petty lady, yeah. Hey, petty lady. Whoop, 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 whoop. Double panda style. And they are all so self-righteous, have a certain air of arrogance. Exactly. Disney was considering not releasing the film because Iger was getting mad at you. They should have just cancelled the whole thing from the get-go! Like, the moment people saw behind-the-scenes footage, like, Seven Dwarfs after what Peter Dinklage of all people was criticizing about, like, it was doomed for disaster right from the start. Also, right, I have not heard that specific story where Zegler got jealous of Godot's singing. And that's another ironic thing about this movie. It's the fact that this is Snow White. Like, in this story, the whole point of the story is that the evil queen is supposed to be jealous of the beauty of Rachel Zegler. Like, I know there's this whole thing about you're not supposed to judge people by their outer beauty, but the inner character. I mean, yeah, I agree with that. But at the same time, in the context of the Snow White story, yeah, like, you're like, I know people, because even in real life, people get jealous of each other's looks anyway. But you're trying to sell to me that a character portrayed by Gal Gadot is jealous of the looks of Rachel Zegler? Are you kidding me? Like, I'm not saying that Rachel Zegler is the worst looking lass out there, but have you seen Gal Gadot? Like, she's beaming. She's one of the most pretty women on earth. And she's supposed to be jealous of Rachel Zegler? I mean, maybe if they, like, CGI Rachel Zegler's face, or maybe, like, practical effects or something. Oh, it's just so stupid. Okay, Firecracker, where is this article? Zegler got jealous of Godot singing. I need to find this story. I need to find this. I am so curious now. Let's see if I can find it. Let's see if I can find it. Zegler. Jealous of Godot. Oh, good grief. Okay. Where is the story? I need to find it. I need to find this. This is too ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Okay, let's see. 9 celebrity. Okay, where could it be? Okay, yeah, fine. Shut up. Okay. Once upon a time, there lived in a scandal. See, the thing that Zegler was a child is often shoehorned. Right. Okay, 23-year-old. Right. What? Pardon me. Where she described real estate. Weird. I can't see the body. Could one of you, like, provide a link for the actual story? But if not, I'll just take your word for it, because that would be hilarious if that's the case. Okay. Oh no! Don't do that! Don't do that! No. Singing. All right. I can't seem to find it. No, that's not here. I can't find it. I heard it in a video. All right. Should be careful. All right. So that may not be true. It may not be true, but man, if it is, My cat's being weird. Weird. One moment. That's all right. It was stonewalled from typical media. Right. I would imagine. Where would it be? Where would it be? No, I can't seem to find it. I can't seem to find it either. So we can't say for certain if it's true or not. Shop, right. Using social media. No, I can't seem to find it. So that thing you said about being jealous of the singing, I don't know if that's true, but I guess if it is, that's going to be so funny. Another topic I wanted to talk about, the Oscars are irrelevant now. I say this because in the memoriam this year, for some reason, they didn't bother Bernard Hill. Was this because he critiqued Rings of Power and Amazon was mentioned jokingly in the Oscars show? Not to mention, I had a friend of mine all the way from India saying that they didn't even bother going in a few Asian films in there. They've lost their relevancy. I mean, yeah, we'll pay attention to like the Oscars because, historical relevancy, but at the same time, like they're not relevant anymore. So who cares? Let's move on to actual good stuff. There was something I wanted to talk about, but I didn't get myself the chance to actually talk about it because there's this new anime coming out soon. And let's see. This new trailer. I mentioned this particular anime. Let's see. Okay, so then I get to share the screen. All right, so yeah, here we go. And then I do that. Oh yeah, add to the stage. All right, here we go. Yes. Let's see. Oh yeah, Loving Vincent. Yeah, I remember that movie. I actually reviewed that movie like years ago now. I thoroughly remember reviewing that movie and saying it was quite the artistic achievement in sheer visuals. Like others say, it wasn't really impressive as a structure-wise, but the fact that people went out of their way to literally make every frame a painting, that says a lot about just the sheer dedication of the lengths they'll go to just to make that kind of thing happen. It was one of my older videos. I made this 7 years ago. Yeah. Man, I've changed a lot since then. I mean, a lot. Right. Copy. All right. So. Never heard of that. I don't think. It's a shame it got beaten out in the awards by Coco. Well, I mean, Coco's also a really, really good movie. Like, although I've noticed that when it comes to the Oscars, people seem to credit movies in terms of animation effort these days. So that, like, I've noticed, like last year, the Puss in Boots: The Last Wish and Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio quite rightly got nominated for Best Animated Feature. And I said at the time, like, both of them deserve the chance to win. Although, personally, I think Puss in Boots: The Last Wish is the better movie. But Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio won, and I can understand why, just due to the sheer discipline it takes to have stop motion animation work. I mean, I understand the intricacies of the craft. I mean, the Pinocchio movie was great, but the Puss in Boots movie, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, is the superior movie. But I'm not really mad about it. not really that much. Feel free to click this link here. It will lead you to my review of Loving Vincent. I'm pretty sure that's the right link. I'm pretty sure it is. I'm just going to double check if that's the right link. That's weird. It's the link looks different from. Oh wait, no, it's not. Sorry, I was just imagining things. Never mind. I mean, Coco moved so many people, and it brought me to tears as well. And my brother-in-law really loved it. Loved the Coco film as well. I think people enjoyed Coco more so than Loving Vincent because Coco involved more likable characters. But yeah, I mean, Loving Vincent had more artistic effort put into it, let's be honest. So speaking of artistic effort, I mentioned Lazarus because this anime show is being made by the same person who brought us Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo. Yes, the one and only Shinichiro Watanabe, one of the most consistently excellent anime creators out there. I find it interesting that Watanabe has not made any, well, he's not made any manga that later gets adapted. He makes the anime shows and then they get adapted into manga later or some obscure PlayStation 2 games. PS2 games. It's Watanabe's got a very distinct style, and in the fact that he's very much influenced by some Western movies. He'll combine the East and the West and ironically give a better depiction of the West than the West could do for themselves at times. And Cowboy Bebop is one of my all-time favorite shows. And Samurai Champloo isn't as good as Cowboy Bebop, but it's still a lot of fun. Not to mention, has a pretty profound plot line involving the early Christians of Japan in the Edo period of Japan. That is. Not to mention, there's some really cool fight scenes in Samurai Champloo. They also made Space Dandy, which is sort of a parody of sci-fi. They made Carol and Tuesday, pretty fun kind of musical kind of thing. And now there's this. This is quite interesting because not just the title, it's a biblical title named after the man that Jesus rose from the dead. So what's that going to imply for the plot? But also the fact that Watanabe is collaborating with the fight choreographer from John Wick, if I'm not mistaken. So that's making me very excited for some potential awesome fight scenes. I mean, Watanabe's already had some awesome fight scenes with Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo, some of the best fight scenes I've seen. So this is going to be amazing. And it's going to premiere on Adult Swim, the same platform that had Cowboy Bebop on. And certainly the marketing, as you can see here, is catering to that Cowboy Bebop nostalgia. The protagonist even somewhat looks like Spike Spiegel with the sort of ruggedy, sort of dark hair, the smirky kind of martial arts sort of persona. He seems to have a common pattern with those kind of scruffy-haired protagonists. He did something similar with Jigen. Mugen. Mugen, that was his name. Mugen in Samurai Champloo. In fact, Mugen and Spike Spiegel even share the same voice actor in the English dub with Steve Bloom. Yeah, Steve Bloom, the guy who had the deep voice, the guy who also voices Wolverine in Marvel Rivals. And interestingly enough, Cowboy Bebop, I don't know if this is going to affect Lazarus, we'll wait and see, but Cowboy Bebop on Adult Swim had an English dub, which is said to be one of the superior English dubs you'll find out there. It changed a lot of the competition. Did you watch the animated movie for Cowboy Bebop? Yes, I have. I'll need to do a review of that sometime. The Cowboy Bebop movie, for your information, Firecracker 44, it's set just before the last 4 or 3 episodes of the series. This is kind of a sort of
calm before the storm kind of thing. But this is certainly one of the bigger misadventures that the Bebop crew have been on. And Watanabe himself made this movie after the series already concluded. And he set this as set before the final episodes of the series. The movie certainly gives a bit more characterization about how Spike relates with his past. I don't know any of these things. Well, it's a good thing you're being educated now, because Cowboy Bebop is just one of the best series ever made. In fact, you know what? Since we're on the topic of Cowboy Bebop, stop sharing the screen. Okay, so tell you what, you need an education. You need an education, and I'm going to give it to you, because Cowboy Bebop is just one of the best shows ever made. And no, I am not talking about that abysmal live-action show they made on Netflix. I'm talking about the original show. Let's see what's the best image I can find to represent the show here. Yeah, I guess that'll do, because that's very similar to the Lazarus promoting. Let's see. I don't know why they didn't use the series music in that film. Yeah. I mean, it seems like a missed opportunity, but at the same time, whether film or series, Yoko Kanno, if I remember, is the musician, and combined with the Seatbelt Band, they make some absolutely epic bangers worth of music. What planet is this? In the movie, Spike Spiegel has the most epic dogfight ever to be animated in the animated movies. It's really cool. Cowboy Bebop itself is sort of a very jazz rock kind of vibe to it. It's very unique for the standards of sci-fi. I remember showing this to a friend, and he thought, "Wait a minute, this isn't sci-fi." And I told him it is sci-fi. It's just a very different take on sci-fi. It's a more grounded take on sci-fi. So the premise of Cowboy Bebop, for those of you who don't know, it's one of my all-time favorite shows. It's the show that got me into watching anime series. I was into anime films before I was Studio Ghibli, but this is what got me into binge watching anime series. Cowboy Bebop, basically, it's set in the year 2075. We'll see how that holds up. Where presumably, like, Elon Musk's rocket plan works, I guess. Just joking aside. Cowboy Bebop is set in a future where humanity has managed to colonize to other planets because Earth has become kind of a wreck. But due to the distancing they've had to go to with getting to all these different places, criminal activity has been increased. And so to counter this, the governments have permitted and legalized the activity of bounty hunting. This is where our main characters come in. We have Spike Spiegel, who is an ex-syndicate member and a daredevil martial artist and a good pilot. And you have Jet Black here, not to be confused with Jack Black. Jet Black is the leader and owner of the Bebop ship. And he's the tough father figure, muscle man. And he was formerly part of the police before there was this incident that happened that involved him losing his arm, being replaced with a cybernetic replacement. And the two of them go out chasing chasing bounties to earn a living. As the series continues, they gradually get Ein the dog as part of the crew before being followed by the vixen con artist Faye Valentine. And then later on, they get the young quirky child prodigy Ed, who is a hacker, to join the crew. So they're a very quirky kind of crew, and they go on these kind of bizarre misadventures. And what I like about the series is that it disguises itself as an upbeat action romp, like you'd seen like Guardians of the Galaxy or something. But interweaved in that, it's actually a bittersweet tragedy about characters who are struggling to let go of the past. And from there, the show gets really deep into the topic of existential enoi. And what am I doing? Wait, I wasn't sharing the screen the whole time. What am I doing? What am I doing? I wasn't sharing the screen the whole time. But yeah, as you can see here, there, if you recognize the sort of poster promotion in Lazarus, you'll see that Shinichiro Watanabe is definitely tapping into the Cowboy Bebop nostalgia to win people over for Lazarus, which is premiering on Adult Swim, just like Cowboy Bebop did. Let's see. I watched it 2 weeks ago. I liked it because I can't watch the series because I don't have Netflix or Crunchyroll. Don't bother with the Netflix series. I've also reviewed the Netflix series on my channel. I was trying to give it constructive criticism, assuming they were making a season 2, but needless to say, it received such a negative backlash that there was no season 2 for the live action show, and good riddance, because whilst there were certain qualities of the Netflix show that I actually really liked, for the most part, it pales in comparison to the original. Like, the Netflix version does not understand the context of certain characters. It does not understand the pacing of Cowboy Bebop, where it's episodic but at the same time serialized. It lacks the structure, and so therefore it lacks the proper quality of carrying the weight thematically speaking. And because of that, the whole presentation suffers. And it's rather telling that Watanabe himself saw the first scene of the first episode and called it quits after that. That's pretty telling. But the original Cowboy Bebop, that is peak anime right there. I mean, there is this one filler episode where the crew end up getting attacked by this weird alien blob monster from a fridge, and they all see, all except one seem to get infected, but then the next episode they're completely fine. So that was kind of odd. But apart from that, the series is pretty solid with its pacing, its consistency. And what's interesting about the Cowboy Bebop series is that it's not just a continuous series. And what the Netflix show doesn't realize is that Cowboy Bebop works structure-wise in the meta-narrative sense, in that the series is both episodic and serialized. Each episode of Cowboy Bebop was deliberately structured like a short film so that all of them would stand out on their own. But when you put them all together, it makes for a pretty profound narrative. And you see the characters growing, you see the characters eventually having to confront their past. It definitely adds to the sense of you're going to carry that weight. And certainly the movie certainly adds to those excellent qualities that was established in the series. It's an excellent series. It's humorous and it's philosophically profound a lot of the time. There's a lot to take from this series. It's just absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Not to mention, if you're going to watch this, I'd highly recommend the English dub. I know there's these purists who say, no, you can only watch anime. It's original sub. How can you be so blasphemous? Like, I understand that people want authenticity when it comes to the way they view their entertainment. I get it. But at the same time, like, alongside Trigun and a few other anime, Cowboy Bebop is one of the few anime shows where the English dub is actually superior to the original version. I mean, it helps that Cowboy Bebop has already got a Western flair to it anyway, but something about the performances, like, you can even tell, like, when comparing the performances between the different actors of Spike Spiegel, like, it's not that the original is bad. The original is great, but the English dub, my days, it just elevates the whole thing. And these voice actors, like, they were in the roles of their lifetime. Like Steve Bloom, you'll know him as like the guy who from Toonami, and a few other roles like Wolverine and like in Marvel promoted stuff, like with Marvel Rivals. But his role as Spike Spiegel, like he was born for that role, basically. Like Steve Bloom was born to portray Spike Spiegel. And it's something you really need to listen for yourself. It's absolutely astonishing. So let's see, what else is there to talk about? The Light of the World movie is still looking rather fantastic. I should also probably give an update to the channel. I am planning to make another analysis of the Seventh Seal movie, and this time I'm going to get a lot more personal, and it'll be beneficial for you as well. Trust me on that. Because there's a lot you can take away from that movie. There's different perspectives, which I'll explain when it comes to the movie. There have been plenty of people who reviewed the movie already, including myself. I watched it last year. I consider The Seventh Seal to be a masterpiece. Like, honestly, like years ago now, I have made a video where I made my top 21 favorite movies ever made. But given the movies I've allowed myself to watch now, I'm probably going to have to update that list, because I'm definitely going to put The Seventh Seal and Puss in Boots: The Last Wish in there. And maybe a few others as well. I suppose, whilst we're on the topic of favorite movies, and given the stories that we're talking about, I should probably take time to mention the kind of movies I like. So, for the time being, in no particular order, my favorite movies of all time would be the Lord of the Rings trilogy by Peter Jackson, The Seventh Seal, a profound existential masterpiece, The Prince of Egypt by DreamWorks, amazingly gorgeous animation, Spirited Away, Princess Mononoke, thought-provoking stories in anime form, Red Turtle, let's see, other favorite, Indiana Jones 1 and 3, let's see, other favorite, Amelie, delightful French movie, brilliant French movie, Braveheart, Scottish patriotism, other favorite, Dead Poets Society, great film, The Dark Knight, great film, The Prestige, fascinating Nolan movie, but I've since then seen Interstellar and Inception, so I'm gonna have to figure out stuff, because Nolan has made some consistently great movies. Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, I'm gonna have to add on there. I'll add it on the list. Seventh Seal, the one from 1957 in Swedish. Yes, that one. Absolutely profound movie. Another favorite movie of mine. I'll have to add Amadeus up there. Amadeus is just one of those movies that are close to perfect, if not perfect. Yeah, I'm putting Amadeus on the list as well. Like I said, like if you have seen that video where I made my top favorite movies, it's going to be changed, and I'm putting in Amadeus, Seventh Seal, and Puss in Boots: The Last Wish in there because they're just that good. Not to mention, I've also been seeing some John Carpenter movies lately, like The Thing, They Live. Like, those are also fantastic, brilliant movies. So, if you follow me on Letterboxd, I have this. I have two lists. One is animation that is art, and two, Scott Stinker approves. So basically, all the movies that I highly recommend. I mean, I wish that Letterboxd had more leeway when it comes to TV shows. But with that said, for some strange reason, they do allow some anime shows to be displayed on there, even though it's a strictly movie-based site. It's kind of weird how it works. They even have some video games on there. It's it's a weird structure, but whatever the case, you can use that as a rule of thumb for what kind of movies that I really like, and in turn, what kind of movies you could definitely benefit from. So basically expect that to come soon. And the Lies of the World movie looks great. And also, just to remind you folks that with everything that's happening, and this is something I've had to remind even other people lately, you got to forgive those you don't like. I know some people, even from my local church, who are struggling with that. We got to be compassionate on them as they struggle, but it's something people need to embrace, because people can get so very caught up with, oh, we need to outwit them, we need to outmaneuver them, we need to outmaneuver them. But honestly, the best way to beat them, so to say, is just live the example. Like, scripture even says that if you show kindness towards your enemies, it'll have a heap of burning coals in their heads. And the fact that they'll get so baffled by your kindness that their consciousness will just do the work for you. It's pretty profound stuff. So it's just a humbling thing to take note of. And I just wanted to remind everybody that the Patreon campaign for the sci-fi story I'm collaborating with Squid Bear is still on the go. So if any of you are willing to click the link here on the screen, or type it out, I guess, and search on Patreon. That project is still on the go, but we've had some donators contribute to our cause, and there's several perks that go along with that. So to any of you watching who have contributed, we are very, very grateful for every penny you spend. We're very grateful, very much counting our blessings there. I should also make a big announcement. I've come to make an announcement. I'm not going to go any further on that joke because it gets rude. Should also say that there is a new YouTube channel in development. Now, don't expect this to be out very soon. This is still in development. This is something I'm planning to do. It's basically, this YouTube channel is in collaboration with a group of friends of mine. I'm not going to reveal the full details, but I'll let you know when it's up and running. But just keep that in mind. Anyway, let's see. I saw that one movie with Gary Oldman that was similar to Amadeus. Now, what movie would that be? Similar to Amadeus, as in set in a certain classical period of time, do you mean? I think there's probably a few of those with Gary Oldman. Is it Dracula with Keanu Reeves? Immortal Beloved, where he plays Beethoven. All right. Immortal Beloved. Now, that's interesting. I don't think I've ever heard of that movie before. I'm going to have to check that out. Right. Immortal Beloved. Pardon me. Let's see. Immortal Beloved. Yep. That's Gary Oldman, all right. All right. Interesting. All right. Never heard of this movie before. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. All right. I wonder how that movie is. So he plays Beethoven in that movie. They mess up the history, though. Right. I'm seeing that there's mixed responses from the review sites. Right. It bothers me when they make up history in historical films. Yeah, I mean, I can understand why. Although I admit that two of my favorite movies of all time, like Amadeus and Braveheart, do that as well. But if you actually do your research in regards to Braveheart, it's clear that they based story elements in Braveheart more after
it's good, but not great. Right. With Braveheart, it was a history minor. Right. With Braveheart, there was, if you look behind the scenes and do your research, certain story elements of Braveheart were actually more inspired by poems and legends about William Wallace, more so than the actual history. So if you look at Braveheart as another legendary piece made to celebrate William Wallace as a heroic icon, then the movie will make more sense, especially when you consider questionable elements like William Wallace making love to someone who in historical real life he would never have had the chance to do so, or the Battle of Stirling Bridge without the Stirling Bridge. But if you look at Braveheart as this legendary sort of embellished legend about William Wallace rather than an accurate historical account, then the movie's more enjoyable and it makes more sense. And the movie itself is paced really well, acted really well, and it has some really great battle scenes anyway. And the music by James Horner is amazing. So on and so forth. Amadeus also takes historical liberties, but if you actually analyze the movie, there's something very, very clever about the way it gets away with its historical liberties. The fact that it takes advantage of a narrative tool called the unreliable narrator. You see, the premise of Amadeus is that Salieri, another composer, in his old age makes the claim, Mozart, forgive your assassin! And he tries to kill himself, and so he's taken to this medical care at the time, where a priest comes in and he confesses to the priest what had happened. Now, the thing is, if you look at Salieri's behavior, there's a sense that he knows what he's talking about, but at the same time, you sense that he's not in the right state of mind. And there's a lot of themes about insanity going on within Amadeus. So when you look at the story as told by Salieri in that maddened state of mind, it begins to make sense that, wait a second, Salieri is the unreliable narrator here. So the historical liabilities in this movie actually make more sense in that regard. Not to mention, what is historically accurate is the fact that Salieri really did claim to be the assassin of Mozart. Now, is that true? We don't know. But we do know he made that claim. And this movie and the theatre play that it was based on is playing off that implication. Well, if Salieri did try to assassinate Mozart, what would that imply? Why would he want to assassinate him? How would he go about doing it? That's pretty much how Amadeus goes, and it's such a brilliant movie in that way. So it's quite an interesting topic. Historical liability. I mean, obviously, you want to be very careful with this kind of thing, because then you get films like The Woman King, where they try to empower certain groups of people, but they do so in a way that's very dishonest, because the Agoji tribe that The Woman King is centered on actually contributed to the slave trade. They didn't fight against it. So again, hypocrisies and double standards. I can't remember if I saw Amadeus. Well, I don't know either, but watch it anyway, because it's just such an amazing movie. Like, Amadeus is one of those movies where it's close to perfect, if not perfect. The pacing is perfect. The acting is brilliant. The way Mozart's music correlates with the plot, it's brilliant. Costume design, brilliant. The thematics, brilliant. All of it, brilliant. The only trace of a flaw I can find with this movie is whether people prefer the theatrical cut here or the director's cut. That's pretty much the only flaw I can find. And here's the thing, like, the difference between the cuts, it isn't even a case of like Joss Whedon's Justice League versus Zack Snyder's Justice League. Both cuts of Amadeus are still really good. It's just that the director's cut adds in a few scenes, and other people think that kind of kills the pacing. And
it's not needed, whereas other people say that the director's cut actually gives more characterization to certain characters. So I saw scenes. Wonder if Amadeus was really that obnoxious. Oh boy. You should watch this one video by History Buff, because my friend Squid Bear showed me and another friend of ours this one video by History Buffs, and apparently Amadeus was quite the man-child in real life, from what I know. I think it's got something to do with the fact that he had such a serious education at such a young age, so he psychologically let out that inner child in his adult years, to the point where Mozart literally made this very soothing classical singing piece about insulting someone to lick their poo. I am not making this up. This is a real thing. It's an actual real thing. There's a choir of children singing this out, and it's one of the most baffling things you'll ever see. Like, you'll just watch it and watch the translation, and you'll go, what? It's so weird. It's so strange. It's just so bizarre. It's so absolutely bizarre. Thanks for all the support, by the way. Really appreciate it. We've managed to recently hit 1.17 subscribers. And for obvious reasons, I intend to get more. There's a lot more planned for the channel, a lot planned for the future. And 2025 is going to be an awesome year already. There's already somebody who's someone I know has been in a state of malaise for a long time before eventually coming to Christ. Awesome stuff. There's people becoming more, people are desiring for genuine virtue again. Slowly but surely, people are finding recovery and learning that relationship brings healing and stuff like that. It's awesome stuff. Awesome stuff is happening, as we see. And I'll continue making live streams. I'll continue to make quality videos. I'm very much looking forward to what the future has to offer. Just to catch up with certain things. What's going on here? What's going on? All right, nice. All right, I think that's all I've got to say for today. Firecracker 44 stayed for pretty much nearly 2 hours, but no doubt he's gonna have to head off. I'm probably gonna have to head off too. I need to clean stuff up. I did have a dinner after all. Thanks for having dinner with me. Thanks for hanging out with me. And yeah, I'm enjoying the new structure. I'm enjoying a lot of things. Life is much more tolerable than it used to be, but the full implications of what I'm talking about, I will mention in full detail another time. All right. Join me next time for Shadow of the Colossus or Monster Hunter Wilds. I don't know. Probably make another live stream soon. But thank you all so much for joining me. Pardon me. Hope you learned some good stuff. And now, back to the drink from earlier. I'm just going to end the live stream like this. Good cup. Cherry juice. Yeah, it's cherry juice. It tastes like cherries, but apparently it's black carrot. Apparently it's got carrot in there too. Like, I'll let you read the ingredients if you allow it. It's a bit fuzzy there. It tastes like cherry, but the ingredients say it's not cherry. It's kind of weird. Let's see: carbonated water, sugar, flavoring acid, citric acid. All right, so I guess there is that. I guess it's some fruit and vegetable concentrate, carrot, black carrot, preservative, sodium benzoate, sweetener, sucralose. The person's and Calum said that this is only for a limited time only. After that, they're gone forever. So yeah, I just thought I'd bring it up in the live stream. You know what? Whilst I'm still on here, might as well share another fun fact with you guys. This is going to be interesting. Trust me. See this right here? This is beef paste. Ever since I arrived at this whole accommodation, this beef paste has been sitting in the cupboard for all these years. It's one of those preservative kind of foods that has a very long expiry date kind of thing, where it can last for years. And I noticed only now that the use by date said BBE March 2025. So I thought, why not use it? And I just used it for a soup. And I mention this because this has happened now during a time when my life has reached a peak. So I guess it's a rather divine sign. After all these years of struggles, like the date of a peak of character was right there on this beef paste tube jar. just a fun story. I'll let you know that. Just this state of maturity, state of mental well-being. Because I've been learning stuff like it's okay to like use cold water to like wash your hands. Whereas before I used hot water and there was a lot of pressure with hot water and stuff like that. Really scarred my hands, but not so much now. Taking more responsibility to tidy the house because previously I was very mentally unstable and I was fixated on work and projects. But I neglected my house in the process. Not so much now. Now I value the time taken to wash dishes, sort out the clothes, do all that mundane stuff. You see, back when I was in a mentally unhealthy state of being, I was too busy just trying to get on with the work, but I've had to learn, especially through relationship, that you got to take it easy on yourself. This is a slow kind of drink. Pardon me. All gone. All gone. All right. Okay, that's going to be the end of the live stream. Thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned for more content. Thank you very much for watching. God be with you all. And have a wonderful day. Ghostseeker signing out.